Hello. My name is Varvara Stepanova. I am going to present about the topic. I'm related both in professional and study field. It is design systems on the web. I'm going in this presentation. I'm going to explain what's that about and what I actually did with that. So basically, during this course, I made a research examining different sources. There were 2 academic papers and a lot of professional sources, many professional sources. And the questions I was trying to study are like what are the issues when developing user interfaces on the web, and the design system concepts, which is a more systematic way to provide good user interfaces, and the value of design systems. This presentation is very basic for people who do not develop the web. But I guess you all are using websites, yeah?
Yes.
And you may notice that sometimes there are some problems in design which do not help you as a user. Sorry, I was speaking about this slide.
Okay.
Yeah, and so basically in this research, I was focusing on examining different articles, and I noticed that different authors use different terms for addressing the same concepts. And I believe that this is actually a bad thing for both scientific and professional aspects, because it makes very hard for newcomers to grasp the ideas of the industry, and it makes not possible to study from scientific point. And so I think that we should have some shared vocabulary to speak about the topic. And this is why when examining and studying these sources, I decided to summarize and categorize the terms and sub-concepts which were used, and provide them in a more systematic way. But first, what is actually a problem? In the picture, you can see a lot of buttons from one particular website, and you can see how different they are, even though it's from the same page, the same website. For you as a user, it should bring a lot of misunderstanding, because on one page it is one UI element, and another page it's another UI element, and this is only about the button and only about one side. When it comes to bigger scale, it gets much worse, because in industry we have like thousands of pages, and sometimes even different websites under the same brand, and they are constantly updating. Some of them are updated every day, and they are being developed by growing teams of different professions. The teams are usually multidisciplinary, and with that environment, developing consistent interfaces are becoming even more challenging. You can think, for example, by this analogy, you can think that about making a clothes, like sewing a dress. It can be done by amateur, and then it's like not a big deal. But when it's come to the industry level, it is very crucial that the same model comes with the same elements, so that the user gets what they expect. And these amateur methods do not actually help enough on the industry level. So we need something which ensures that we provide coherent web interfaces. And the answer to this problem are the design systems. This is a concept of more how to provide more systematic design, and how to implement it and how to maintain it. And in my research, I also observe sub-concepts, like subclasses of the design systems, what it actually means and what it consists of. And here I present you some. So the design systems operate with components and patterns. As a user, you may imagine components as pieces of interface, which you usually see on the website. So, for example, a button would be a component. Then I made example of this scroller. It's also a component. Or it can be something more complex, like this date selector, also a component. Then, as for patterns, they are more abstract things. So, let's say spaces in between of texts. They are like it's not something you can touch. It's more abstract thing, but still like making sense for a designer to document. And another example is like a plate of colors, and they can be many. Like they can be different motion guidelines and layouts and such. The next thing designer need to provide consistent interfaces is documented visual language, which means like best practices, strategies, reasoning behind it, and different specifications. And altogether, the components, patterns, and visual language, when documented, it makes a style guide. So basically, it's some internal website with documentation which instructs the designers and developers what are the components to use for the upcoming interfaces, and what are the strategies to produce new components so that it will be aligned with the existing ones. And I also made some categorization and summarizing of the terms used in the field, and this is the scheme drawn by me. So from my point of view and by my summary, it's seen that the components is the lowers some sub-concept of the design systems. Then they are influenced by the patterns, and together they can make a pattern library, like a set of components to use, and they can be represented on the documentational website, which is style guide. And besides the components, it may also have other instructions, for example, instructions for editors about how to provide texts aligned with the brand and everything. And if we add the methodology, different approaches to processes and tools, altogether it will make design systems as a concept, as a systematic way to provide the interfaces. And then as for value, it brings to different stakeholders. I think that for people, it provides a better website. And I specifically wrote people here, not users, because we are making the services, either it's a website or something else, we are making them for people. And also the avatar of an elderly person is also on purpose, because it has to be, it's just a moral aspect. It has to be accessible and useful and for everyone, like kids, elderly people, people who cannot like read well and such. It's just a question of respect. We have to provide our work good enough. And so if using design systems, we can ensure that people can use our product. Then, from a manager perspective, design systems provide shared vocabulary to empower in-team and cross-team communications if we speak about bigger organization. For a designer, it's basically a systematic way of working, and they can be sure about the quality of work they produce. And for a developer, it is easier communication with designers, and also it's like some tool which helps to provide consistent interfaces. That's it. Thank you very much. So you can always reach me out by these contacts, and I will share this presentation. If you are interested in the sources, they are here.
Wow.
Any questions?